The rain had started miserably early that evening, breaking through a muggy grey that had clung to London since mid-afternoon. I stood shivering outside the gallery on Kennington Road, my coat clinging to me, rain pooling into my shoes. The harsh white neon from inside cut into the darkness, revealing the silhouettes of people I knew, faces too familiar now contorted by laughter and wine. The bitter echo of it drifted out every time someone nudged the clunky glass door open. I pressed my phone to my ear, damp fingers slipping. Even the speaker refused me. "Hi, this is Clive. Sorry, no new commissions right now. Stay strong out there." Then a chirpy beep. A siren screamed somewhere beyond the council flats, drowning out my shallow breath. A dying hope in my chest rattled its chains. My mum had called this a gallery. In truth, it was a converted laundrette, tarted up with uneven plywood walls and Christmas lights half burned out. I'm not sure what I'd expected from showing my work here, maybe not a breakthrough, but something other than indifference. I had set up my soundscape in the back alcove, a collage of city recordings cut with layered synths and snatches of voices I'd collected from street vendors' children, the river's endless shushing. I thought the effect was striking, a walk through a London fever dream. Most visitors passed with frowns, glancing around as if searching for the leak. My older brother, Liam, and his girlfriend Becca had paused, eyeing the battered headphones I'd left out. "Give it a go," I'd urged, awkward, suddenly unsure of everything. Becca slipped them on for a few seconds, then grinned. It's a bit like having tinnitus, isn't it?" She laughed, a short metallic sound. Liam cocked his head. "Is it supposed to be music, or is it just noise?" Others were less direct but no kinder, quiet smirks, accidental elbows into my makeshift speaker rig. I spent most of the night with my cheap cola, standing not quite in the corner, face a little tight, until I finally fled into the rain, the city's sounds suddenly achingly real compared to everything piped and edited from my laptop. Even now, years down the cratered road that led from that December night, I can feel every cold glob of rain, every minute I spent walking home with my gear stowed in a bursting holdall. I stopped in front of my mum's house for a long time and stared at the closed curtains before heading around to the alley instead, letting myself in silently, determined not to listen to the words waiting for me. "Callum," she'd said, only half meaning to wake me later, "there's got to be something steady. You've got hands, you can do plumbing or heating, something people really need." But I only nodded, the sounds of the city already spinning wild shapes in my head. "I'll give you the next few years short." I picked up shifts stacking shelves at the big Tesco on Walworth Road, started mixing late at night in my slowly dying laptop, pinching together gigs for pocket change. Once I got a few minutes on a BBC London radio spot, no one I knew heard me. When Liam texted to say Becca had moved in, he added, almost as an afterthought, "Hope you're keeping busy." I tried for film and TV work, mailing demos, emailing directors, but mostly got ghosted. The grind settled into my bones. Sometimes I'd pass old schoolmates at the pub. "You still at that noise thing, Cal?" If I said yes, the next pint would be on them, accompanied by jokes about the hardest working DJ at your mum's house. After my dad died, leaving only a half-sorted toolbox behind, the lines in mum's face deepened. I promised again to sort myself out. I meant it less every time. My bedroom became the entire world, a fortress of tangled cables, crushed takeaway cartons, and scribbled notes, each sound, each edit an act of faith no one else shared. What I did have, finally, was steel. The tenderness lived only with the work itself, the deep sigh of a tube at dawn, the click of high heels on cold stone, those moments when the city's song and my own desperation met for a second, brushed shoulders and didn't flinch. A decade in, what little courage I'd had was exhausted. Then, when I least expected it, salvation lumbered in disguised as a late-night email with the simple subject line, "Sound Designer Inquiry Chronicle." Attached was a treatment for a low-budget indie film, the story of a cabbie ferrying lost souls through London fog. It held promise, soft, haunted, true. The director, Mila, found my online portfolio in a thread about urban field recording and reached out. We talked the next afternoon in a cafe that served socks for pastries. I gave her a taste of my best work, nothing smooth, nothing obvious, just the city's ache and lilt woven together. She listened, jaw clenched, and didn't say a word for 2 minutes after the demo ended. Finally, she said, "This isn't just noise, this could change how people hear London." Then she grinned suddenly. "You in?" In that moment, the years fell away. Those next months were a blur of work that energized rather than drained. Mila gave me creative room. She liked the raggedness, the misdirection. I recorded the clatter of Soho markets, the phasing choruses of distant sirens, the soft thud of a pigeon landing on the Albert Bridge at 2 a.m. I looped snippets from conversations overheard on rain-slick buses, processed heartbeat rhythms into the rattle beneath a score that built, breath by breath, into something alive. The day Chronicle premiered in a ragged cinema off Shaftesbury Avenue, I slipped into my best jacket and perched in the last row, not ready to sit with the cast. When the final credits rolled, the applause wasn't roaring, but it was long and genuine. Afterward, a reviewer cornered me on the sticky stairs. "How did you get the river to sound like memory?" she asked, voice hushed. "It's not music, but it's something." I startled at last, hearing my echo in someone else's question. Chronicle made a gentle wave on the indie circuit, enough that my name brightened in some small circles. Maury projects followed, games, documentaries, the occasional commercial spot polished for cash. Still nobody called me a real success back home, but work, honest, paid, creative work flowed in. Eventually, an email arrived from the National Gallery, not quite the Tate but not far. They wanted a residency. Experimental, immersive exhibit. The director thought my urban soundscapes might fit their new space. I blinked at the screen. They offered real money, a short film about my work, and a launch event with press. I rang Mum that night. She listened, bowl of porridge in hand, her voice brittle with surprise. "They're paying you, love, to make your noise." I could only laugh, giddy, amazed. "Yeah, Mum, they are." The exhibit opened on a spring evening 4 years after Chronicle, the sky flickering pink over the Thames. My name glowed white against navy vinyl on the wall, Callum Rowe, City in Sound. I'd transformed the gallery's main space into a maze. Speakers hung from hidden rafters, playing layered urban soundscapes that shifted as you moved. Footsteps on real flagstones, the murmur of evening traffic sliding up Regent Street, conversations that trailed like vapor through the corridors. Lights followed the rhythm of the city's pulse, gently rising and fading. I wore a suit borrowed from a friend, one size too big, my shoes shined. People drifted in early, their faces turned up in careful curiosity, murmurs too quiet for mockery. Someone touched a wall, startled as birdsong warmed up in response to their proximity. There were critics, a clutch of fellow sound designers I'd once pestered on Twitter, and a few old professors, but mostly I watched the doorway. My family said they'd come, though Mum fussed about crowds and Liam texted a single thumbs up, refusing to admit excitement. They arrived right before the press, blinking and awkward. Mum wore her church coat, navy blue. Liam and Becca, arm in arm, stepped behind her, heads ducked. I stepped forward into the haloed light, swallowing dry nerves, then offered headphones. Sleek, professional ones this time, not the battered pair from that night in the rain. "Go on," I said, keeping it gentle. "It's not what you remember, trust me." Becca hesitated. "It's not really loud, is it?" she asked, half smiling. "When you walk over there," I said, guiding her toward the middle, "it's like standing in the heart of the city but with no rush, just the layers underneath." "Just try." Liam stood uncertain, hovering near his wife. Mum pressed her lips together, eyes glassy. Becca slid the headphones on, swallowed. She took 3 steps, passing under the softly pulsing light, rain on glass, a child's laughter, then a chorus of soft market song, voices colliding, swirling. Her expression changed, the usual skepticism dissolving, lips parting. She stood still for once, listening. I watched her shoulders ease, chin tipping upward. Liam accepted the headphones next. For 2 whole minutes he barely moved. I saw his hands unclench, the line of doubt melting. When he took them off, he looked at me with the wary respect of someone realizing a sibling is suddenly, truly grown. Then Mum took her turn. She pressed the soft foam to her ears, trembling a little. She closed her eyes. She didn't hear only sound, she heard a story, the city as lullaby, as memory, the river as pulse and home. She heard my heart, built from all those odd hours, every drizzly night I'd spent chasing the secret harmonies just beneath the surface of London. When she opened her eyes, there were tears. Of pride, yes, and something else. Grief, maybe, for all the worry and small cruelties that came with misunderstanding. She reached for my hand, her fingers small and cold and strong. "I can hear you in it, Cal," she whispered, soft as the wind. "I finally hear you." Then she squeezed my knuckles so hard I almost winced. Visitors circled my exhibit for hours, their steps measured, faces shining in the flicker of city lights and soft thunder. A group of critics in smart suits stopped beside me. "This is remarkable," one said. "Who knew a city could be translated into emotion? You caught it, mate, you really caught it." I caught my brother glancing sideways at me, as if measuring the new distance between who I was and who I'd become. Becca for once said nothing, not a joke or a smile, just leaned in to hug me warm and fierce. Through the glass, the London sky split into blue and silver, rain shimmered away and neon flickered on the river. I watched Mum pause at the exit, her hand lingering on the rail. The uncertainty was gone from her face. Afterwards, I stood out front alone, breathing deep. The night smelled of spring and fresh asphalt and possibility, and the gentle hush of the river that sounded at last exactly as I'd always heard it. That's when I knew I'd finished the circle. The laughter, the years apart, the hard resolve, and the softer forgiveness all folded together into a quiet, steady song. I had walked my mad, mocked path straight into the heart of the city and brought a piece of it home. Later, as we walked down to the embankment to find somewhere cheap and warm to eat, Mum squeezed my shoulder, voice thick with wonder. "I never imagined your dream would look like this," she said. Neither had I. But standing in the cool, humming dark, the city's pulse drumming through my veins, I thought I always knew how it would sound.